Looking to replace your OEM diesel particulate filter or diesel oxidation catalyst? Look no further than DPF X-Fit, a complete line of aftermarket diesel particulate filters and diesel oxidation catalysts designed as an exact fit OEM replacement with all makes coverage for light, medium, and heavy-duty trucks. With thousands of units in stock, we ship the same or next day, and be sure to check out our comprehensive reverse OEM lookup tool. Always new, never remanufactured. For more information, be sure to visit dpfxfit.com. That's dpfxfit.com.
For more than a decade, FTI has strived to become the leader in the aftermarket performance transmission and converter industry. We've joined forces with McLeod driveline components under the leadership of Top Fuel Funny Car pilot Paul Lee, and now have a larger distribution network, more resources, and more power. Come see us in the pits and ask how you can join the FTI family. It's not cheating, it is the competitive edge.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey everybody, WFO Radio is back. I'm Joe Castello, and we're getting ready for race 1 of the NHRA Countdown. That's right, the Pep Boys NHRA Nationals, Maple Grove Raceway, Reading, Pennsylvania, a.k.a. the House of Chaos. Perfect place to start off race 1. It is always packed, one of the most die-hard drag racing crowds in the world, and we're going to go out there and have a whole lot of fun. Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stock Motorcycle, all going to be there, all battling for championships. And you might not lose the championship on week 1, but you can surely do a good job of putting yourself in the right position to win it by going out there and having yourself a great race weekend. We've got great guests on this show. That's right. U.S. Nationals winner Clay Millican going to be joining us on the program not long from now. So if you are a fan of Clay and you want to hear him talk about one of the most popular victories that I can remember. In fact, if I remember all the big popular victories, Clay has got a couple of them, right? Bristol, that was probably the greatest win I've ever witnessed. Now Clay winning the U.S. Nationals, talking to Nikki down there on the starting line, Jimmo. They've got the meets. The Arby's car wins its first ever race. Get out of here. That's going to be tough to duplicate in the future, by the way. Talk about setting the bar a little high, guys. You know, maybe a little too high for the folks at Arby's. They're like, this was great. Thank you. We're going to talk to Gaige Herrera, going to be on the show. Finally got that U.S. Nationals win, right? Like finally pushed it over the top and got the Indy win. The one thing that had been eluding him in his long 2-year career, Gaige Herrera is now a U.S. Nationals winner. Our long national nightmare is over. And speaking of the House of Chaos, Kid Chaos is going to join the show and talk a little bit about some of the improvements and what's going on with Maple Grove Raceway. It's like true calling in life, being a drag strip owner in addition to being a dad. Kid Chaos going to join us on the show. So plenty to interest you on the program. Plus, we've got the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, going to be joining us moments from now. We're going to break it all down, the U.S. Nationals, the playoffs, the entry lists, all of it. But first, I want to tell you about the people who make it possible, literally, for me to go WFO, like Bernie Speed Shop, BURNYZZ.com. This is Josh Hart's company in Ocala, Florida. They got some really great things going on there. What do I always tell you about? Look, you want to help me? Go to the Bernie's social media and just follow along and check out what they got. Go to their website, go to their inventory, and then you'll know that the next time you need a high-level frame-off restoration, you're calling Bernie's. Next time you want to buy a muscle car or an exotic car, you're calling Bernie's. If you want an e-bike, you're calling Bernie's. If you want to sell your classic, exotic, or muscle car, you're calling Bernie's. BURNYZZ.com. That's Bernie's Speed Shop. And thanks to Josh Hart for supporting WFO, as is the case with CWT Industries. This is Randy Neal's company. Machine shops, engine shops, parts shops. If it spins, it can be balanced. If it rotates, it can be balanced, and it will last longer and work better if it is balanced perfectly with the CWT balancer. They make them for all kinds of engines, all the way up those 3,500 cats, giant machines, or your typical small block Chevrolet or LS. Go to CWTindustries.com or just email me, joe@WFOradio.com, and I'll put you together. I'll give you a personalized introduction to Randy Neal, big-time supporter of WFO Radio. Big thanks to Paul Lee and FTI Performance, of course, Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. TotalSeal.com. New episodes of Hidden Horsepower coming out. We're going to be at the PRI show. We're going to be all over the place with Total Seal. You heard a little bit about Jesse Converters, the DPF XFit brand, on board with WFO Radio. And we've got a lot going on in our world, including the folks at HusseyPerformance.net back. We'll tell you more about them a little bit later, along with Frank Hawley's and Marvin Rodak and the folks at Foggett. Gary Stinnett is bracket racing right now. It's all happening down there at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Drag Racing Universe never stops. But let's bring them on the show. I need some more shares, guys. Let's share the show. We got a huge audience out there. Let's push it out there, especially those of you viewing on X. Get some comments in the comment section up there on YouTube for this guy, the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart. Are you retweeting, Alan? Are you re-Xing?
No, I already did that. But I was just got to notice that my Netflix account has been suspended. And so I need to just give him my credit card information here real quick to get that. Strangest thing, I don't remember ever having a Netflix account, but I can't think of any reason not to give these guys my credit card number.
Well, why stop there? Why not just text them your social security number and your bank account? Like, let's cover all the bases.
Should I just do a balance transfer?
Balance transfer, everything. Like you're doing the right thing. The scamming out there is like, there's something I think everybody could get behind, finding a way to stop the scammers, the calls, the emails, anybody that's got a Facebook page, which you don't, be happy you don't. Every day I get an email, a message from Facebook that says there's a problem with my account and all I got to do is click on the link and they're going to help me sort it out. Except that is the virus. The Facebook, it's like customer support and service. If you click on this, we're going to help you out. And it locks you out of your account and causes you all kinds of great problems. It's a total disaster in our world. All these scammers calling old people trying to get their money. Terrible.
I have said before, and it's absolutely true. I don't care what office you're running for. I don't care if you're running for dog catcher or if you're running for czar of the universe. I don't care anything about your platform. But if you will vow to use nuclear weapons and send special forces after robocallers, I will vote for you. Yeah. I don't care what else. We're going to clear cut the rainforest. Okay, all of that's fine. If you will use nuclear weapons and special forces on robocallers, I will vote for you, no matter what.
See, you're anti-business, Alan. You're anti-business. That robocall is a great way to generate leads, and you clearly are an anti-business person, and you don't like capitalism, and you're a commie because you don't like robocalls. We had that here in Florida. It was a state law that you could not do robocalls, and they fought to change it, and now the robocalls are back. And that was their stance. I'm making a joke, obviously. We don't talk politics here on WFO, but we do dislike robocalls. And so if that's you, that's you. How you doing today, Alan?
There you yeah. All good. I'm got the dryer running with the last load of stuff that has to go. The last couple things go in the suitcase, and then I'm ready to head out tomorrow.
Excellent. I'm excited. I travel tomorrow, too. We're headed to Maple Grove, Pennsylvania. I want to get a countdown debrief in. I want to talk about these categories, but our guest of honor, we got a couple of them actually going to join us, is already ready to talk to us. And so I see no reason to delay bringing on the U.S. Nationals winner, the guy who got it done, one of the most popular victories in the history of drag racing, Clay Millican. What's up, Clay? How are you?
Man, life is good. If I complained about anything right now, it would be robocalls. Other than that, life is great.
Nobody likes them. They're the worst.
Joe said that, your win was one of the most popular ever. But I'm not sure that's true because, Steve Torrence didn't think it was so cool.
He and I actually talked just a couple days ago, and it was funny. I probably shouldn't share this conversation, but I'm going to do it anyway. His first attempt at Indy was in an 8-fuel dragster, I do believe it was, and he won. And he's like, okay, my first try, I won this deal. And he said it quickly changed as to how hard it really is to win Indy, which he's obviously won it a few times. But for me, it was a funny call also with Mr. Peter Lehman. He sent me a text basically saying, how was your weekend? Kind of a wink and a joke kind of thing there. And then I just immediately called him because those of you that know my story know I would not be in a Top Fuel car if it wasn't for Peter Lehman. And he's like, about time you won that thing. You were 0 for 25 or whatever the number is, and he's like, you finally won it, but it's been a crazy, amazing, we're, I think, a week and a day after winning it now. I am still getting text messages. I'm still getting phone calls. And I did set an all-time record of 400 text messages starting on Monday after the final round. I was on top of my text messages all day, and then I just kind of left my phone alone, and it reached 400, and I had actually answered a few of them along the way. So it's been a fun week of catching up on all those texts. I still have a lot of phone calls that I have not got back to, but everybody that called has been amazing. Everybody that texted is just incredible. This morning, I was on the phone with Rick Ware, and I had gotten a text, basically, I'm assuming soon as we won, from Scott Palmer. And I replied to that at some point over the last week. And this morning I'm on the phone with Rick. We're just talking about all kinds of different things. He's always full of ideas. And I get another text from Scott Palmer, and it says, hey, you are the U.S. Nationals champion, which I just thought that was cool that he was still thinking about it. A week and a day after it happened, Scott Palmer's still thinking about us winning Indy, as am I.
Yeah. Well, I think it is a big moment. You're a very popular person, not because of your wit and your charm and your good looks, because you're a good person. All that other stuff is bonus. Like, I don't know anybody. I've never encountered someone that says, that Clay, he's so fake. What a fake guy. No one says that. And
yes, they do, actually.
Well, I don't know. Maybe in the comments section of people who don't know you. That's the downside of having 104,000 YouTube subscribers, Clay. Like, you're going to have some random people in there that are just, viewers, but very popular. The Arby's thing is huge. And my takeaway, like, I have a photograph that I took, you and Rick walking to the winner's circle after it was all over. And you just kept saying, I have the video somewhere, but we won the U.S. Nationals. We won the U.S. Nationals. Like, it was very Reinhart Daytona 500 for me. We had never really applied that pressure to you, like, Clay, why haven't you won the U.S. Nationals? But I think it's because your career continues to get better and better as the cars get better that you're under. And now you got Rick, and you got the money, and you got Nikki, and you got Jimmo, and you're wanting for less as your career is going on. And now you've won the U.S. Nationals.
It was such a meaningful thing. I didn't really realize how big it was going to be. The truth is, I've always said when I raced in, Super Gas, Super Comp, I never went to Indy because it was so many days. And I literally drove home from Indy. The next morning I got on an airplane. I went to Jeff Lutz's shop, and I started looking at some of my footage for getting the video up for winning the U.S. Nationals. And I played my helmet cam in front of Jeff Jr., Emily Reeves, Aaron Reeves. And I didn't realize what came out of me, in the shutdown area. And I'm not too big to admit this. I started crying at Jeff Lutz's shop because I didn't realize how excited I got and, what come out of me. I posted that video, of the helmet cam, and I didn't even know I did that. That's how big it was for me that it just came out. I think I just kept screaming, we won the U.S. Nationals. When I saw that light on the wall come on, it was like, holy crap. We just won the Super Bowl, the World Series, the Daytona 500, the Indy 500. We won the U.S. Nationals. It's incredible. I can't believe that we did it. And I did not know this till after it was over with. Jimmo or Nikki, with all the racing they've done, all the big teams they were with, neither one of them had won Indy. I think I'm glad I didn't know that rolling into the final round. I mean, it's just amazing that it all came together the way it did. And they gave me a solid race car. I didn't do anything. The only thing I didn't do was make a mistake. I just simply drove the race car. My reaction times weren't great. And to be honest, it didn't matter. We just had the best car, and Jimmo and Nikki and everybody on the entire team were on it. They were on top of it. It was amazing.
Amazing. Alan, question for Clay.
Clay, coming from the number 13 qualifying spot, I know that you and I talked about this before, and I guess Marla had told you about it sometime during the day. But it had been 6 years since the number 13 qualifier had won Top Fuel. The last person that did it was Terry McMillan when he won Indy. But coming into number 13 qualifier and looking at the ladder, I mean, be honest, when you're going through driver introductions, are you literally at that point thinking, man, this is my day? Or was it, first round, second round, and then you start visualizing? At what point were you legitimately thinking, this could be my day?
The truth, and this is no joke, Alan, I do not look at the ladder. I never look at the ladder. I typically will find out who we were racing first round. Obviously, Saturday night at some point, somebody will say, we're racing Antron first round. And I did not think about winning that race until Steve Torrence tried to lock me in the porta potty before we put our helmet on for the final round. And that's, I'm like, dang, he's trying to lock me in the porta potty, and we have a shot of winning. If you looked at the ladder, you probably didn't like our chances. I mean, Antron, what else do you got to say? He had won the U.S. Nationals back-to-back. That's no easy task. You have Josh Hart the next round, and we're talking about a guy that won his first ever Top Fuel race at his home track. Then you get Brittany Force, two-time champ, and then I don't know. You can never think that you're just going to run over the top of Steve Torrence and that entire team. He's four-time champ. He's won everything there is to win. But I didn't think about it until he was laughing, standing outside the porta potty like, I'm not letting you out of here, hillbilly. Although I have to correct Stevie all the time. I'm technically not a hillbilly. I'm a river rat, because the other end of the state of Tennessee is hilly. My end is downhill slide into the Mississippi River. So I'm a river rat, not a hillbilly.
Wear it proudly.
Yeah, I do.
I love it. I love it. And good for Steve trying to lock you in. That's a little fun that we don't get to know about. Everybody in the comment section is saying congratulations, over and over again. Congratulations, Clay. But the question that keeps coming up, Sammy Eubanks out there, by the way. Sammy, good to see you back in the chat. Thank you for saying hello. Everybody wants to know about Arby's. And they all stopped at Arby's, and social media was loaded with a lot of photographs of people going and getting a beef and cheddar to celebrate your win. And everyone wants to know, what's the deal with Arby's, Clay? Are we going to see them again? Were they happy? What was the story?
Well, we had John from Arby's was on the starting line Friday night. He had other things he had to do, and he was back bright and early Monday. And after we won the race, I told him, I'm like, I don't know how we top this. We want to have you at all the races. That's for sure. I don't know how we top this. And he's like, well, it was so easy. You just kept going down the racetrack, turning on wind lights, The Arby's thing, actually, I did not know about it until the week of the race. It was something that Rick Ware and Robbie Benton had put together, and I didn't know anything about it. I was actually FaceTiming with Jesse Snyder, our car chief, at the race shop leading into Indy. We were changing some things that I wanted to do with the car, and he was showing me what he'd done. And he's like, oh, by the way, have you seen the wrap for this week? And I hadn't seen it, and we kind of didn't do, the big unveil the way that, Ron did with his awesome looking snake funny car. That was so cool. It was not really unveiled until I was posting it on our social media, and that was actually kind of fun because I think it caught everybody off guard. And, will we continue doing that? We will see what happens. That's actually a Rick and Robbie question that I can't answer, but I don't think you've seen the last of Arby's. That's for sure. We got a lot of coverage for Arby's over the last few days, and Jimmo and Nikki quickly become beef and cheddar, and last night they determined I'm small fry.
Beef, cheddar, small fry. Tony German says everything is better with a beef and cheddar, and we certainly saw that this weekend. I wish you luck. I hope, hey, Arby's folks, come on out. We want to see this more often. Alan?
Yeah, if they weren't happy with what you delivered there. But Arby's isn't known for their fries. It's a potato cake, man. You should be potato cake.
Yeah, exactly. A small order of potato cakes.
So let's talk countdown now. I mean, in your Top Fuel career now, I think the only big item probably missing on your to-do list is NHRA championship. You're going in with some momentum. You obviously have a good race car. are you thinking at all about that? Are you focused at all about that? Or is it like, let's just get to Reading and see what happens?
I have learned over the years, and it wasn't always this way, but I'm 58 years old now. I've driven a Top Fuel car. This is my 26th year. I have gotten to the point in my career where I do my dangdest to think about the run we're about to make. I'm better off doing that. If I get too far ahead of myself, I am way too whatever. There's a medical term for it. I think it's ADD, ADHD, whatever. If I get too far ahead of myself, I can't take care of what's right in front of me right this moment, and I'll make mistakes. So I do know that we have a good car, and I do know we're capable, and I do have full confidence in everything that we're doing right now. Jimmo and Nikki had a plan for a while of things that they wanted to do during the countdown to make our car, more consistent and better. I mean, we've had the ability to throw the big numbers out there. We obviously struggled through qualifying at Indy. In all reality, we barely snuck in at the 13th spot. During that last session, there was a possibility for us to be knocked out. And Sunday morning, when I walk into the lounge, Jimmo and Nikki, they've got their heads buried in the computer. And Jimmo looked up at me and he said, Nikki and I have had a plan for the countdown, and we really are just going to go for it and implement it right now. And if that's any indication of what we're capable of doing moving forward, I'm excited about it, because what they did Monday at Indy was nothing short of incredible, because our car was just rock solid. So I'm thinking about first run in Reading at the moment, and not necessarily so much the countdown. But Alan, 100% agree with you. My career's got a lot of cool things in it, and that NHRA championship would certainly be a nice one to add to it.
Yeah, I'm getting emotional thinking about all the possibilities. But there's a bunch of drivers that are going to be tough. Top Fuel is so tough right now. It's brutal out there when your defending champion doesn't qualify for the biggest race, like right before the playoffs. Like, that's saying something about what it takes to be successful. Put a little meat on the bone right there for us, Clay. Like, what does it take to be successful? You talk about the lounge and these plans that they're activating, and I'm sure some of them are, you can't tell us exactly what's going on, but what do you think it's going to take to be in contention to win this at an In-N-Out Burger Pomona drag strip? Like, is it going to take 2 wins? Is it going to take 6 semifinals? It's going to take consistency, and certainly avoiding as many first round outs as possible. Like, maybe you're allowed 1 based on what we've seen in the past.
I think pretty much everything you said is correct. The one thing I think we will not see happen is what Steve Torrence did a few years ago, that, he went out there and won every single race in the countdown. I don't think we will see that. I honestly don't think you can have any first round losses, unless you're Doug Coletta and you're starting out in the number 1 spot. I think it'll be the most consistent car, and I think you'll need 2-3 wins. I'm not sure. Alan would certainly be more in tune as to the history of the countdown and what is taken. I mean, we have seen a winner come from the 10th spot before. Luckily, we're not in the 10th spot, but no mistakes. That's really, I think, the biggest thing. You got to have win lights at every one of these countdown races. And, for our spot being in 6th place, we need multiple round wins and probably, 3 race wins to have a shot at it, I think. But I do like our chances. It's just a matter of me performing, every one of the kids on the car performing, and no silly mistakes. I mean, if you get outrun, you get outrun. But if you can go out there and just be rock solid and have no silly mistakes, you've got an opportunity to win this thing, because hands down, I don't want to hear nothing from all the commenters, quarter mile was the way it was, and that things were better back in the day. You are wrong. This is the most competitive the nitro classes have ever been. There is no one single dominant car, and anybody that qualifies, and it doesn't matter what position you're in, you can win these races. These are the good old days right now in Top Fuel and Nitro Funny Car.
Yes. Thank you for saying that, Clay.
I would agree with that 100%. Clay and I actually did a video about, so you really want to go back to 1,320 feet. You can find that on his YouTube channel someplace. But I think, Clay, you nailed it. I mean, the self-inflicted wounds are the ones that really hurt. What Steve did a few years ago, amazing. I don't see anybody doing that again. Mm-mm. But it's always, if you get shut off on the starting line, or if,
a two-step, a red light, you name it.
There you go. Yeah. The self-inflicted wounds are the things that you got to put behind you. And I got to believe, coming in with the U.S. Nationals trophy, still in the trailer or in your office or wherever, has got to give you a lot of confidence going into Reading that, look, we just proved what we can do. All we have to do now is keep operating at that level.
Yep. I agree 100%. It's just incredible how close these cars are these days. I honestly think when any car turns a wind light on, it's no surprise to me anymore. Back in the day, if you qualified, 1, 2, or 3, you felt like you're going to win first round. And I think those days are long gone. It's no ducks, no gimmies. If the car starts in stages, you have the opportunity to lose. That's the way I see it.
Yikes.
We've talked about going back to the past. When I started doing this, it was real common to look at the ladder on Saturday night and just go, boy, semifinals, this is going to be awesome, right? When these guys get together in the semifinals, that's going to be something. And now you look at the ladder, and like you pointed out, right, round 1, you and Antron, which one of those guys would you automatically pencil into the semifinals? And these days, I agree with you 100%. The level, did there used to be more cars out there? Yes, there did. But there was still 2 that won every week. Now we may not have the volume of cars, but we certainly have the quality of cars. And as you said, you can't take anybody for granted out there.
I agree. I mean, it's just one of those deals these days where the technology has made its way through the entire pit area. And I'm not saying everybody tunes the cars the same, because I promise you, our car is completely different than what everybody else runs out there. And it's just amazing. A lot of that really filters through all of drag racing, with CNC porting, all those things. There's not that one magical guy that has a magical cylinder head. So now it comes down to everything that is touched on that race car can be the difference in winning and losing. And it's just awesome. I love it. I mean, I still get the butterflies. I keep talking about how long I've been doing this. Sunday or Monday, whenever the race is, man, the butterflies are in there like big time. And I think that's part of what makes me love my job so much is, that excitement of, man, you're fixing to drive a top fuel car and you're fixing to have an opportunity to turn a wind light on. It still drives me. I'm still, every single day I'm doing something that is involved with racing that top fuel car.
Amazing. Clay, great job as usual. I just watched some of your most recent video, hydrogen engine for the SEMA show. I see Gaige Herrera is down there. Gaige, I see you. We got you. Real quick, give us a tease on the hydrogen stuff, because on the Hidden Horsepower podcast, we have been talking about like hydrogen combustion for several years. And this is a technology that I don't think many people realize, fans of combustion, that a combustion engine can be converted to hydrogen, and it revs and it sounds, it's got noise, it's got power. What did you guys do with your situation? And I bet that was pretty educational.
So the quick rundown on this. So CRC Industries, people know them as the brake clean company. They have worked with Jeff Lutz and myself the last couple of years. And we built a 2006 GTO that went to auction, which funded 10 scholarship funds for young people going to tech schools. This year, we are building a 57 Chevrolet, and boy, have we lit up the comment section, because Jeff Lutz is a 57 guy. Everybody knows that. I'm a Hemi guy. I make a living with Hemis. So we have put a Gen 3 Hemi into a 57 Chevrolet, and thank goodness to Mr. Mike Copeland. He is the guy out there that has made the technology that you can take an engine and make it run on hydrogen. He's already done it. He's doing it. But the coolest part of it is this will be the first time that he has ever sold this technology. This 57 Chevrolet that we're currently building right now will go to auction. And however much money it brings, we hope it's a lot, but CRC, working with Tech Force Foundation, will be funding more scholarship funds for people learning to work with their hands. It's a cool project. And Mike Copeland, Arrington Performance, why he is willing to allow this technology out there is because he's a good human being that wants to help kids. But think about this. And this is a line that is straight from him. He said he was talking with his wife, and he was afraid that his 7-year-old grandson would never be able to drive one of his hot rods. He wants the internal combustion engine to live on, even when whoever tells us we can no longer run gasoline. And you can take your hot rod and make it run on hydrogen, and the only thing coming out of the tailpipe of that thing is water. So the emission problem is gone. This car will make, on the setup that we're making, it will be a 500 horsepower, every bell whistle you want, power steering, air conditioning, and a Hemi with a supercharger that makes no emissions. It's going to be auctioned off, and I'm very proud to be part of this program.
Very exciting. No, Mr. Copeland is the gentleman we spoke with on Hidden Horsepower. That episode is there for podcast listeners and to see it evolve. And he is a passionate dude, just like yourself. And that's what people have to see. Look, the tide of electric vehicles is receding. We're seeing that everywhere. It just is what it is. The people who like them, and they're cool. They're all right, whatever. But some people want to hear an engine rev. That's us, and I love what you're doing, and I appreciate it, Clay. So good luck with that. Everybody subscribe to Clay's channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you in a couple of days, Clay. Thank you very much, and congratulations on winning the Big Go.
Can't wait to see you guys. Thank you for letting me come on as always. I appreciate it. You guys are the best. I enjoy the show, and I'll see you guys in Reading.
Just like that. We're days away. House of Chaos. Later, Clay. Congratulations again. Clay Millican with us here on WFO Radio. Reinhart.
Joe, I don't want to brag, but I was miles ahead of the curve. I had water running out of a tailpipe like 40 years ago.
Yeah. It's, because you cracked a cylinder or, blew a head gasket. But the water
all that comes out of your tailpipe is water. I did that years ago.
All right, let's bring on our next guest. We got him backed up here. I want to hear Reinhart's wisdom, but we got another U.S. Nationals winner. He is about to join us, and this guy got it done. Finally, Gaige, finally. You won the U.S. Nationals. It took you 2 years, but you finally did it.
Yeah, I was saying, I don't know if it was finally, but I was glad to get that monkey off my back. That's a home race for Vance Hines, so that was a big one for us, for sure. For Byron, Terry, everyone was there. So talk about the most pressure possible. It was definitely that weekend.
Yeah, I saw Byron on the starting line, being incognito. People were like, there he is. A lot went on that race, though. There was a lot going on. The Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. Matt was the champ. Then you were the champ. All of that stuff going on. There was a lot of, let's call it extra.
Yeah, there was a lot of extra stuff going on there. I didn't do so good in Sonoma, so I wasn't able to race in the Mission Challenge. So basically, it was open for Matt to take the championship in the Mission deal. He had I think it was him, Gianna, and John Hall, and my favorite, Matt Smith, went red in the final, which John Hall got the win on the Mission Challenge. But, there was some controversy, or he got an email that stated that he only had to win first round in the Mission Challenge to be champion, but that wasn't true. Basically, he had to win the race because we were tied in points. And I believe after looking, the tiebreakers were whoever has the most wins or whoever went the most rounds and something else. But so I ended up having 3 wins. He had 2. So that caused a little bit of drama, in the pits, in surrounding areas. Obviously he was awarded the trophy. He did the speech, the whole thing, and then a half hour later he had to have the trophy taken away from him, and then I had to do the speech and all that. So I totally understand why he was upset about it. I would be too. But at the end of the day, the rules are the rules, points are points. He wanted to race for it or something in the last round of qualifying, but the points were plain as day that I was a champion, so there was no real reason for it that we've seen as a team.
Well, the rules are the rules. They're stated prior to. Maybe in the future, that would be an interesting thing. If it's going to happen at the U.S. Nationals where we have a 5th qualifying session, it does make it possible potentially. But whatever. It is what it is. Question for Gaige, Alan.
Well, just for the record, because I'm sure people are wondering, my understanding of the confusion came, This year's the first year that the Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge took place during the 4-wide events. And because the format of the 4-wide events, points are added differently. And somewhere it was kind of a bookkeeping error that caused the confusion in the first place. But Gaige is right. Once it was found and straightened up, then it was black and white who won and who deserved the trophy. The thing I'm curious about, Gaige, I know Vance and Hines, as a rule, doesn't talk about any like controversial, any kind of, parody things, any kind of, it's just like, put your head down, go to work, do what we got to do. But you guys came in, having a lot of weight added to the bike, having to make some adjustments for that. How much of a learning curve was that, trying to find the balance back on the bike? Because you and the machine obviously are very much in tune. When you change the weight of the machine a substantial amount, there's got to be some kind of adjustment there that you have to make, isn't there?
Yeah, there was a lot of adjustment. I mean, I kind of slacked off a little bit. And I gained 10 pounds in between Virginia and Seattle. So or Sonoma, I should say. My leathers were starting to get a little tight. I'm like, I got to fix this. But so I lost weight there. So we actually had to add like 27 pounds to my bike with the weight changes. And yeah, I mean, it just takes different clutch setup, different gearing. I mean, it's a lot more stress on parts. But Andrew and Byron and all of them, I mean, they basically worked on the chassis a little bit, made new mounts to mount more weight where it's needed to, be able to apply the power, but not lose traction, get the weight moving. That's the hardest part. I mean, that's what really hurt us Friday and Saturday when the weather wasn't so good. It really hurts torque-wise on the Suzukis, and we just couldn't get the bikes to move early, and they won't back half as good as the Buells with all that weight. So it's definitely been a learning curve. I mean, like I think Andrew said something in his interview. I was going up for the final round. I felt the clutch lever. I'm like, I looked at him. My crew guy Jay was pushing me by Andrew. I'm like, you sure about this? I mean, that thing was like rock hard, way harder than it ever has been as far as base pressure, static pressure. But I mean, it's working. It's getting the bike moving, and so I got to give all the credit to them as far as getting that weight to move. I really thought it was going to hurt us a lot more than it did. But then again, I mean, as soon as we got that rule change after Sonoma, we didn't do good in Sonoma. So after that, Andrew and all of them, I think Andrew spent most of the downtime between Sonoma and Indy for us because we don't go to Brainerd on the dyno, just trying stuff, because he was still fighting the fuel change with different weather and all that. So he's really been head down. Like you said, don't say nothing, don't complain about the rule changes, put your head down and work. And he's really good at that. And it showed in Indy for sure.
Amazing. Trip 0 in the final round against Angie. She had a great day. As a bracket racer, as a grudge racer, I'm sure and you think about like what it is out there in the racing world that turns a Trip 0 perfect light into a 001 red light. And from one, you're the U.S. Nationals winner, and the other, you're disappointed. Perfect light in the final round. Did you spend any time like reflecting on that? Like, could have gone the other way.
Oh yeah, I'm basically just calling it a terrible red light. It's I didn't think I went trip zip. I mean, I threw the lever and I looked. I'm like, oh, it's still green, because I felt like I was on it, and the bike reacted really quick after Andrew made the little clutch adjustment. And I didn't think it was gonna be trip zip. I was actually shocked. That's my first ever trip zip. I think the best I've ever been before is a 005, if I remember right, bracket racing and stuff. That's with the delay box and everything else. So it's easier to be a little more consistent, I should say. But I mean, Indy was it was a good race overall. I mean, I had a very consistent, fast motorcycle. I was consistent on the trees, I felt, all day. And yeah, I mean, there's no better place to win than, the U.S. Nationals. I mean, that's the Super Bowl for us as far as drag racing. So, I still feel like that's right at the peak. That race is right at the peak for me with winning the championship. It's crazy. Everything's really starting to set in now. How much I've won in like a year and a half now of basically 2 years of making my debut now. I never would have thought I would have got the U.S. Nationals this early. It's kind of hard. Like, I was in the media room talking about all this, and everyone's like, what's your new goal? And because I've accomplished so much, and I would say my only goal right now is to make sure Matt Smith don't get a championship one past Andrew Hines. But, that's going to be hard to do. He's got a fast motorcycle, his whole team over there. But this countdown is going to be very interesting. I feel like there's going to be a lot of swapping back and forth. It's not going to be like it was last year at all.
I love hearing you say that. I do want to remind Gaige, I believe you are entitled as well to go to the tower and pick up your Perfect Light Challenge coin. Alan, right? Like that works for pro drivers too, don't they get it?
Well, technically they do say Lucas Series on the back.
Oh,
Gaige,
sorry, Gaige.
If you really want one, you can come on by. We could probably sneak one out for you. Hey, Gaige, I'm curious about, obviously you work with Drew every day. You work with Eddie every day. Terry is a big presence, not every week or every day, but I know that Terry's a big presence and that you've had a lot of time that you've been able to spend with him. Byron, on the other hand, doesn't come out to the races very much. You don't spend a lot of time in the shop. How was it having him at the race? A guy that I'm assuming is a motorcycle guy. Like from the time you got your first motorcycle, Vance and Hines has been this legendary thing. But what was it like actually having Byron there on the starting line, rooting for you, being a part of the team and being there in person?
Having Byron there, it's a big deal. He's basically the brains, him and Andrew, behind the whole operation. Plus Eddie puts in a good amount. So I feel like that was the most pressure I've had. He was there last year as well. I think last year at Indy was the first time I met him. So this is like probably the fourth or fifth time I actually had him around or been around him. But he's really mellow, just, straight to the point. He's business, so is Terry, but they're the same, but they're opposites. Byron's all about performance wise. So he looks at every little thing that the rider's doing, the bike's doing, so he's, he doesn't miss nothing. But it's a lot of pressure. Just, the legacy that they've created, Byron and Terry, and, now it's me and Richard trying to keep the name, moving forward and doing good. It's a lot on your shoulders. It's a lot to think about, when you're pushing the bike in the water box and you see him standing right there watching you. It's like, all right, don't mess this up. His Byron and Terry are watching. So, it's definitely a lot more pressure for sure, but I've learned a lot from them. And, the amount of the stories from them are just, and what they've done, throughout the years is so cool. And, it's been a fun journey just being able to be around them, and not only, growing up, knowing the names, but now getting to hear their stories and put it all together. It's very fascinating and interesting for sure.
Very, very cool. Gaige, I'll ask you a similar question. You touched on the countdown and how it's going to be back and forth. You mentioned Matt's goal. I love the fact that you know what Matt's goal is, right? Matt's goal is to get 7 and drop the mic and walk away like Kane and Kung Fu and go help the rest of the pro stock motorcycle racers that he is helping out. And you want to stop him. I noticed you didn't say, I want to win my second championship as your goal. Like I find that to be intriguing that you positioned it that way.
Yeah, I feel like, championships will just come as they do. So, my main goal is to go out there, be consistent as I can, as I have been trying to be, since I've made my debut or raced in general. But yeah, that's my main goal. Andrew Hines, Dave Schultz, and Matt Smith, they're all tied at 6 championships. So it'd be cool to keep it at that. And, if Matt gets it, congrats to him, or Richard, or there's 10 people in the countdown, so anyone, and everyone's got a fast motorcycle, so anything's possible. It's drag racing, it's like gambling. You could have a strong hand, you have a bad hand. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, that's my main goal, is just to go out there and try to defend basically my title, but not only that, to try to keep Matt from surpassing Dave Schultz and Andrew Hines for sure.
Alan, final question for Gaige.
You've mentioned Richard a couple of times. Are you as surprised as I am that he hasn't found the winner's circle yet?
Yeah, I am. He's had a few little mistakes, and it's weird. Like I feel like when he makes a little mistake, the bike makes a little mistake, and then it makes a bigger mistake overall, which slows the bike down a little too much to where he loses, or or like when we raced each other, he had I forget what happened, but he had like a little bobble or something, and it just, because I think he treated me and everything, and I was able to get around him. I mean, our bikes are identical. We swap motors back and forth. I mean, everything's the same. I mean, granted, we don't switch bikes. We just swap motors back and forth between me, Richard, Gino, Kelly sometimes if need be. So it's not really parts wise. I think it's just the overall package. But he's been doing really good. He came in and when he first started riding, he was riding like himself, and he did very good, testing the bike in the first race. And, he had a little, I think it went red the first race, I believe. So that was a little bobble, but then, then he tried changing his ride style a little bit to kind of ride like me, but I feel like the height difference affects him. So then he made little mistakes, on the, as far as throwing the lever. I mean, it's just little stuff. So I feel like he's finally getting back to being himself, and it showed. I mean, he's been very consistent on the bike, and he's going to get that win. I hope he does very soon. As much as I love winning, I love to see my teammate win, or, any of the Vance Hines bikes, for the matter of fact. I get the same amount of joy in us as a team winning. So I definitely feel like a win for him is right around the corner. And hopefully it's against me in the final. That would be good. Kind of like when me and Ed were battling back and forth all last year.
Hey, just to follow up I'm sorry, Joe, just to follow up real quick. Do you feel like the time you spent on Gary Stouffer's bike allowed you to make those mistakes and learn before you got on the bike you're on now? Was it that big a head start?
I feel like it was a little bit. I mean, Richards rode a lot of bar bikes, but they're all pro mods where you leave off a button, kind of like a trans brake or something like that. It was never really a lever. So I feel like that did help me a lot. As far as the pro side bikes compared to pro mod, pro street, all those, the no bar bikes, I should say, these bikes take a lot of little movements. It's very finesse. Every little body movement scrubs speed off. And I feel like me riding Stouffer's bike really benefited that a lot, especially being with the smaller motor. I mean, like you said many times, when I was riding Stouffer's bike, I was running the 1640 for a while, and then we got the 2-valve 1855, and riding, basically moving up on those two motors. I feel like it helped me a lot as far as you have to get every little, basically squeeze it, or ride the bike like a fine tooth comb, get every little bit out of it. I feel like it's helped me a lot as far as now being on a Vance Hines bike or something with the most power you can get, to get every little bit out of it at each time. So it has helped for sure.
And the rates to ride Gary and Karen's bike just went up, right? It's like, you're going to get on that bike. It's like, oh yeah, the one that helped Gaige go out there and be dominant and win a championship that he's on publicly saying it helped him so dramatically. Yeah, Gary and Karen.
Yeah,
just a little bit, just a little bit.
That bike's going to end up in Gaige's museum someday.
Yeah. Gaige, congratulations. What a year it has been. It's been amazing, but now it is time for a new fight. And I agree, this is going to be tough. Matt is tough. Everyone's tough. John Hall's running well. Angie now is running well. Your teammate is going to probably break through. Maybe it'll happen here in the countdown. We don't know where it's going to go, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Thank you for coming on WFO Radio, making a little time. I know you're at work. That's the thing. Everybody, like, Gaige is at work. He's on his lunch break, sitting in the truck talking to us on WFO Radio. I really appreciate that, Gaige. Congratulations on your Indy win.
Thank you very much, Joe and Alan, and see you guys this weekend in Reading.
We'll be there, baby.
See you in a couple days.
Gaige Herrera, Vance and Hines, Revzilla. Amazing young man, Alan. And, I like the fact that he has, has totally opened up in his interviews. Initially, he was a little apprehensive, as anybody would be who's not used to doing public interviews. And now that he's had 57 winter interviews, he's very relaxed.
Well, I think part of it has to do with, when you get in front of Allie Bland in the press room and she puts that spotlight right in your face.
Yep.
Now you're going to tell me, then you pretty much have to open up. So, Allie, we appreciate everything you've done for him.
Yes. And they got a big press conference later on today at 3:00. So we got to be ready for that. All right. So Kid Chaos.
Love you, Allie.
We love you, Allie. Of course. Allie Bland, one of the greats out there in the NHRA media department, along with Josh and everybody else who works so hard. Kid Chaos is going to be joining us in a couple of seconds. Before we have him, and you'll stick around, obviously, after, we're going to talk but let's stay on Pro Stock Motorcycle. Let's do a little countdown preview in that. What are you expecting here? I'm expecting a knockdown drag out. If if anyone ran away with it, that would be the surprise to me. What about you?
I would agree with that. I think the Vance and Hines bikes still probably have a little bit of an advantage, especially in the cooler weather. I think that, they respond better, and I think that they lose a little bit more when it gets, hot and when it gets humid. And so the weather in Reading this weekend looks like it's going to be pretty favorable. Going on down the line, who knows? St. Louis can go either way. Dallas can go either way. But I think that, Gaige is certainly going to be a player. Matt Smith is on a mission. I think John Hall could be a big spoiler in this thing. As far as, whether, is he capable of winning the championship? I think so. But is he capable of ruining it for somebody else? And I think that is really the case. Angie's got a good bike, as everybody's been talking about, and there's going to be some wild cards in there as well. I think that I don't think that we're going to have, necessarily somebody's going to win 2 races and you're going to say, well, we didn't see that coming. But I do think that some of the other riders can be early round spoilers, and that goes a long way. You have a first or second round out, and your opponent goes to the final round. That you can't let that happen very often, and I think we're going to see some of that.
Yeah. Well, exactly. I love the way you say it. And you mentioned John Hall, who has won the U.S. Nationals, won the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge in Indy, is riding better than he has in many years, and he's got a fast motorcycle. He can, is he going to outlast the competition over 6 races? Maybe, but maybe not. Can he get you once at the worst time for you? Yes, he can. And that can be said about Angie and Gianna. And Matt Smith kind of has got like a little bit of an army around him too. I wonder how that's going to play out. Chase Van Zandt, Chris Bostic with the parachute. Like, can those guys get you once? They can. And it could be at the wrong time. I love that analysis. I've summoned Kid Chaos. He will be joining us. Let's keep on going with Pro Stock. Okay. What you said about Pro Stock motorcycle times something. You got Jeg, you got Erica, you got Greg, you got Aaron. Like, at the top of the points, I found myself struggling to pick a favorite.
I can't believe you didn't mention Dallas. I think that
the points
I really think
didn't get mentioned in my assessment. Exactly.
I really think that Aaron and Dallas are going to be the 2, and that's just based on what I've seen all year long. I can tell you, the last thing you want to do right now, apparently, is qualify number 1. The number 1 qualifier hasn't won like 15 consecutive races or some ridiculous thing like that. So, do you want a couple little bonus points? Yeah, I wouldn't turn those down, but that doesn't seem to be the magic place. And, I think Jeg is going to find the winner's circle again. I think Erica is going to find the winner's circle again. I think Greg is going to, but I really believe if you look at what we've watched all year long, that Dallas and Aaron really look like the 2 that if I was doing Play NHRA and placing a bet right now, those 2 would be the 2 that I'm looking at. Yeah,
I think that's fair. It's tough. Just looking at, you mentioned Dallas. He's 25 up for those that don't know. We did
runaway.
Right. He's got a round ahead of Aaron, around 0.5. We did picks on the Ignition show. Some people are asking for our picks, and we're not doing picks. Alan and I are going to be working with these racers. They're all competing for championships. We're not doing picks on this show. We're going to let it all play out professionally and let it work. But you got Dallas, Aaron, Greg, Erica, Jeg, Troy Jr., all within 70 points. It's 67 points back. They've all shown they can win races. They've all shown they can be killer on the tree. They've all shown they can go number 1. Jerry Tucker sitting 7th, 82 points out. He's been number 1 qualifier a couple of times. Christian Quadra, Eric Latino, Mason. Then you get down there, Derek Kramer, who Michael Heiner is tuning. He's in the audience right now. What's up, Michael? Those cars have had a terrible year. Kramer, Hartford, but they can jump up at any moment during these final 6 races, and who knows what's possible. So I'm expecting just a wild Pro Stock countdown matchup.
I am as well, but I go back to, you look at consistently all year long who's been there, and it's really been Dallas and Aaron. Jeg is solid. He can win any race, anytime, but consistently week after week, always in the semifinals or in the final round. There's a reason they're in the Too Fast, Too Tasty every week. Are those two guys, Aaron and Dallas. And I don't see that changing. I think that, if anybody was hiding something, waiting to spring it in the countdown, then I guess we're going to find out this week. But like I said, if I had to play NHRA and make a bet this week, I would bet on Aaron and or Dallas. I just really believe they've had the best two cars all year, and I don't see either of them losing focus, slowing down, or starting to make stupid mistakes at this point.
I appreciate
that. Having said that, Erica will win 5 of the 6 races, and then she'll call me and go.
Yeah, the red car. Well, and Jeg didn't come back. So I'm, analysis wise, and for people who audio only ignition show, so much fun. Co-host Sue Morris and her husband, Dave Morris, both went out there and won divisional in Rockingham together. She won Super Street. He won Super Gas. We talked about that. Troy in Oregon promoted a race out there at Woodburn Drag Strip. Like, the WFO universe is running wild. If you're sleeping on the Ignition audio only podcast, you're missing out on a lot of great stuff. But we did in-depth discussion. I just don't think that Jeg came back for no reason. Like, I think Jeg Coughlin is quietly on a mission, and we're just, I don't want to say underestimating him, but the guy had 3 wins and just quietly sneaking in there. And Erica is always Erica, as fierce competitor as it gets. Greg Anderson can't be, I don't know. There's no way to predict. That's why I'm not, and I'm not allowed to wager on play NHRA, because it would be very, very challenging.
Yes, I am not placing any wagers
no
on
wagers.
play NHRA either. I'm just saying that, if I'm an odds maker right now, those are the two that look pretty good. You mentioned some of the other racing activity last weekend. Congratulations, Gary Pritchett. He won the race up in Earlville, and that put him in the lead for the Central Division alcohol dragster title. He and Tony Stewart are, look like the two that are going to battle it out. And then I'm guessing St. Louis will be the determining factor there when we go down for the big regional down there. And Hannah Line, who is Jason's niece, won her first ever divisional Wally. So congratulations to Hannah.
Yes, on an open, they brought it in on an open trailer, and they did a whole bunch of stuff. And Alan's like plugging in his laptop because it's about to run out of juice. I know what that looked like.
It just said battery low, and I thought, wow, really? I thought I had plenty when I started. So
I've summoned Kid Chaos, and he is not responding. He was like, "It will not let me on iPhone." Yes, it will. That's what I'll tell him. Try again.
He's just ignoring you.
Everybody that's our guest is on iPhone, Kid Chaos. Come on, everybody. They made some updates at the track. All right, let's keep going while he figures it out. Funny car, Austin Prock. I'm interested in your analysis here because the audience, everybody weighed in last night. You've got, it's kind of a big 6 or 7. You got Austin Prock, who's dominated the season. He's 39 up. He's got that huge bonus from the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty domination. But Bob Task is second, 39 points. That's 2 regular rounds. And, you can't sleep on Tasca. You got Dickey and Hagen, the reigning champs, 4-time champs. You got JR 54 back. You got Cap 71 back. He went to another final. Like, they've been very consistently going to the semifinals and the final rounds. Then you got the John Force Beckman combination. We asked the audience, should we call them Beck Force or Force Beck or Forceman, or, the whole Benemefer thing? We're sorting it out. I don't know. I think Beck Force is winning. And then
JJ.
What do you like? JJ, Jack and John. JJ, right.
JJ.
See, there's no bad ideas in a brainstorm, guys. We're just sorting it all out.
Yes, there are. There really are.
There can be some funny ones, though, which is why Forceman did not take off, because a lot of people thought it sounded like something else. Blake Alexander has been like Jim Head's car. We just don't know how many countdown races they're going to end up going to. What do you see?
He's planning to go to all of them unless something weird happens, at least according to Jim.
Okay, because I heard they were going to miss Charlotte again. So that's what I would call some new news.
Okay, well, I spoke to Jim earlier in the year, and he told me that after the Western swing, he was planning to hit the rest of them all the way out. So
that's great.
That may have changed. I mean, when you're Jim, you can decide to do whatever you want to do anytime you want to do it, and God bless him. But I think the nitro cars are much more difficult to handicap, because I have seen time and time again over the years somebody that gets onto something and then kind of sets it aside, whether it's a magic group of clutch discs or whether it's some other, some couple of blowers that they like better than everything else, and they just set them aside and save them for the countdown. And so, I think 2 races in, you're going to know if anybody's been stockpiling stuff. But I vividly remember talking to Tommy DeLago. He was working with Matt Hagan a number of years ago, and we were out west, and they were struggling a little bit. And I, spoke to him and I said, "Man, you're not running very." He said, "I'm fine." He said, "I've got some stuff I'm experimenting and playing with." He said, "All my countdown stuff is sitting on the shelf at the shop. When it's time to go racing, we're going to go racing." And they went out that year. I think they won 3 of 6 and ended up winning the championship. So I think that kind of thing is more prevalent. I don't think anybody in pro stock has got an engine under the bench that's got 40 more horsepower that they've just been waiting to spring on you. But I do think that in the nitro ranks, there are crew chiefs, teams that will take stuff and set it aside and bring it out at the countdown. So I think, I think after Charlotte, I think we'll have a much better, but, the Procks are doing amazing things right now. And Bob Tasca is running great, and he is driven. There is no question about it. But I don't think, you look at what the Tony Stewart car has done the last couple of races, and you go, well, gee, they were not quite where they used, but it will not surprise me at all if that thing shows up in Charlotte and it's like, okay, look, they're back, right? They brought out their countdown combination. I think that it's taken longer than anybody expected it to, but Ron Capps certainly is getting back to the performance level that he was before. I think, J.R. Todd's waiting to bust out. If they've just got all of their stupid stuff behind them, that's a car that could come out and make some real noise in the countdown. We've seen it. That car's won 2 championships, 2 different drivers. So it's very difficult for me to make that handicap. If I had to today, if you said, look, you will never drink another beer until you make a pick, how do you pick against Austin Prock? But I think that we're going to find out later. Hey,
look at that. We finally got him. We made it work. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Kid Chaos.
Oh, what's going on, Joe? Alan?
Here we are. Yeah. Well, so listen.
What are you on? Dial-up service? What the heck are you doing? Where are you?
We're at Maple Grove. We don't much service out here in the mountains.
It is amazing. You got it. All right, give us an update. I know that you third-party tickets are not welcome to the race, guys. What's that all about, Kyle?
We've had numerous amounts of scams happening, fraud accounts, people buying hundreds of tickets last year. Close to $250,000, $250,000 last year in fraud. So this year, the ticket company and our team and NHRA decided not to accept third-party tickets due to the fact of 90% of them were fraud. So you have to buy through MapleGroveRaceway.com. Ticket Smarter is our vendor. And yeah, unfortunately, I think it sucks for the customer because sometimes you get cheaper deals out there, but the fraud level is crazy. I never done anything like that in my life, so I never thought about it. And especially until we bought this place, it's crazy how much theft, credit cards.
Yeah, I saw that earlier today, and I wanted to give you, that's not why we invited you on. This is why we invited you on. Like the endless level of improvement, little things at House of Chaos. We were so happy 2 years ago when you guys got the track and we got to have the first race there and you saved this legendary facility. And every year you're doing something. Maybe it's not the biggest thing in the world, but that extra 15 feet of asphalt, the racers are going to appreciate it.
Yeah, I sure hope they appreciate it. It's not the biggest thing like you said, but those little things do add up to big. Every year we try to do something, and it's not just for, our regular racers or sportsmen racers. Oh, you're doing it just because NHRA is coming into town. That's wrong. We do it all year long for all of our racers, and not even drag racers. We do it for our fans that come in for our concerts, our nightlife stuff, a lot of our festival stuff that we do here. So it's not just geared for the racers, but I hate the little rocks. I love rocks at the quarry at home, but I hate rocks here at the racetrack.
Alan? Did we lose Alan? Alan, you got us?
No, I'm going to reload. Something happened to my internet connection. I'll be.
Oh, something like we're going to reload. Okay, so what's here we are, year 3, Kid Chaos, of being a track owner. Is it all you dreamed it would be? You still love it?
It's all I dreamed it to be, plus more. I love drag racing, but honestly, I wouldn't be able to do it without the team and my family. We have a lot of employees here, part-time, full-time, a lot of people that support us, a lot of marketing partners that support us. So I'm very fortunate. I guess I'm just like kind of the face of Maple Grove, but I'm not the face of Maple Grove. I mean, my team and our team as a family, they work so hard that I kind of enjoy it a little bit more, but I do love it. It's fun. I love the area. I love the locals. Everyone in this whole area is hardworking, down to the little kids. They're out here picking apples off of the trees and stuff, and I buy them every time I'm here. So it's cool. It's a different atmosphere than what we're used to at home in the suburbs. So in the city life, it's way different. It's quiet. When the lights go out here, it's super dark. So it's cool. I do love it. I hope to see a lot of people out here. The weather, I don't know if you look at the weather. I stopped looking at it because it was kind of picture perfect. But I think that the show this weekend is going to be some great competition. Start of the countdown. Everyone's turning their stuff up. I know the Pro Stock guys are excited. That's the only people I talk to, but I'm sure the fuel guys are really lighting their stuff up too. NHRA guys are rolling in they're like soldiers here.
I love it. Alan, question for Kid Chaos while everybody's got connection.
Kyle, you mentioned Pro Stock. What's the prognosis for you coming back to Pro Stock? I know you were looking at taking some time off. I know the new edition at home, and I applaud vigorously your decision to take a step away from racing because you had family things to do. But do you have a plan to come back at some point?
No plan. I think it's more of a wish. I wish to come back. I hope to come back. I haven't given up on it. I know myself and my dad, we've been working hard trying to get some partnership going, and it's no new news to anybody. That stuff is funded on money, and it's a lot of money, and it's very competitive. It's the most competitive class, I think, in NHRA and all drag racing. So if you want to be the top dog, you got to have the top dog funding, and right now we're just expanding in all of our companies my dad owns and me and my brother own. So we're kind of investing money other places right now versus me just racing. But I will come back. I don't know when. KB hasn't kicked me out of the pit. They let me in at Indy. So that was pretty cool. They wanted to see if I was going to cook, though. Tamara does a great job. And I'm like, Tamara's way better a cook than I am. But they miss my bullshit that I bring to the chaos to the team,
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of BS, Heiner says, about time, Kyle, you bum. And he wants to know if the baby is going to be at the track this weekend.
Yeah, the baby's going to be at the track. And Heiner, this is a 10-year-old and up show. So you gotta hang up now. You're a little guy.
Horrible. That's terrible.
No, Heiner's a good dude. We can't wait. Hopefully he brings his son and his wife out here for the weekend. And we hope, Kramer's part of the KB Titan group and Michael and them guys do a great job. But the baby will be here, Michael. And you get to get a picture with her.
Excellent. Somebody wants to know, does anyone live in the house that's down at the finish line?
I am currently, I'm sitting here right now. We just had the locals repoint all the block. So all the block just got redone. Currently no one lives in it full time. We have part-time people that live here. I stay here when it's too late to drive home. We're currently rehabbing the interior, but we just redid some of the concrete. We put fence up. My mom's a decorator, so she started putting furniture out here. I said, Mom, when do we have time to hang out? We're always working. She's like, well, one night when we get time, we'll hang out. I'm like, all right.
That's where the after party is going to be. Wait, Paul, what a great question. This guy nailed the question. The point of the question that everybody wants to know.
whoever that was, he's welcome to the after party.
There it is. Super gas racer Paul Weichman. Final question for Kid Chaos, Alan.
Well, I just want to make sure that house is ready. Your dad had told me that I could stay there next year when I come in for the divisionals. That'll, save on the hotel budget. So just make sure that it's ready when I get there.
Now we're talking. I know that was directly word for word from his mouth, because he's all about saving the dimes.
Yeah, you make a beautiful house, like a party house for the people that come in, and the celebrity announcers that come in. I think there's a good idea there. We could start a precedent.
I don't want the rest of the celebrity announcers. I just want it for me.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
Yeah, that's going to be how it works.
I think, Joe, we should do a WFO crib style at Maple Grove.
Mark it down. It's happening. It's happening. The place that was connected to the birth of WFO Radio back in 2010, when we went out there and set up the show at the Nitro Fish booth. That somehow I'm still around, so it must have been helpful. Yeah. It only makes sense.
Kyle, I got one thing for you. You touched on it a little bit earlier, but for people that don't know, and obviously the people that tune in WFO, or the vast majority of them, are drag racing hardcore fans. But you guys have a year-round program going on there. Talk a little bit about other things that you do at the facility that have nothing to do with drag racing, because these days, if you're going to keep a racetrack afloat, you can't just do it by running drag races on Saturday night and running the national event once a year. So talk a little bit about some of the other things you do on the property.
Yeah, we have, we're open pretty much almost 9 months out of the year now. Previous, I think they were open 5 to 6 months out of the year, but drag racing is probably 40% of what we do here at Maple Grove now. We do a lot of festivals. We do a lot of family affair, different events. Night lights being a real big one, where you light the lanterns up into the air. Thousands of people. It's probably the coolest thing you've ever seen. We're working on a light show right now for Christmas time festival. We do stuff around Halloween for a Halloween bash and country concerts. We did one last year, and we're going to do 2 in 2025 country concerts. But if you don't like drag racing, which it's not for everybody, we have swap meets, we have car shows, we have flea markets. If you just like to go out, I know I do on Sunday mornings to a local flea market and, look around and, buy people's junk that is worth something to you. It's really cool. A lot of different things to do here at Maple Grove, but maplegroveraceway.com, all of our stuff is on there. All of our events, social media, Sarah's heavily active on our social media and stuff like that. And yeah, there's tons of stuff to do around here. And if you don't like it here, you can go about 5.5 miles up the street to Shady Maple, and I'll guarantee you gain about 10 to 15 pounds after you leave there. It's the largest buffet on the East Coast.
Been there, done that. But you're going to have great food as well. I heard someone grilling you last week, whether the Tater Tots guy is going to be there. You wanted good food. You got a couple of really good food trucks there, but is the Tater Tots guy going to be there?
Pippin Lillies. He's a Tater Tot king. He will be there, and he has a special serving for that special person that asked, Joe.
There you go. We'll keep her out of, the spotlight just in case.
Yeah.
What's this
spotlight?
Lenny Lotta going to run his FX car? What's up with that? I saw something on Facebook. I was unsure of what was going on with that.
Yeah, me personally, I don't get involved in any of the social media drama, stuff like that. But Lenny will be here. He's a local. Lenny and Jesse Rick Horde I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing his last name right. He's coming with a Factory X car and a Showdown car. I'll have Rob Smith's Factory X car here with a new Tom Martino motor. Hopefully tomorrow we get it. Tom built us a new Bullet, so hopefully we can creep up on those guys and be a little more competitive.
Love it. Yeah, no, I love the fact that Tom is, building FX engines now too.
I think, Alan, what do you think? I think next year, 2025, we should have Factory Showdown, Factory X, Mountain Motor, and Pro Mod.
Oh my gosh!
I think you should invite all of those and make it a points race at the Dutch.
I don't think the Pro Mod guys will come to the Dutch. A little too cold.
Yeah,
you might be right. But the Factory X guys, if you couldn't run 680, you might as well stay home.
I agree with that. Yeah, this year we got some. I'll get with you this weekend now. I think we have something pretty cool for the Dutch. adding a class to that event.
Well, if my room is open, down there at the end of the racetrack, I think I'm available that week. Just let me know.
Your room's open, and book the.
Perfect.
There it is. There it is. Look, we're doing deals. We're doing deals. No headhunter fee or anything here on WFO. Kid Chaos, thank you very much. I love your idea, by the way. That would be the ultimate door slammer race, to have Pro Mod, Pro Stock, Mountain Motor, Factory X, Factory Showdown, all on the same property. That would be crazy. You should go try to make it happen. I think it would be amazing.
I'm going to make it happen.
Do it. Thank you for making the time. We'll see you day after tomorrow.
All right. See you guys soon. Thanks a lot.
There you go.
If you need anything, let us know.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Alan, Kid Chaos, right? Like another one of the beloved characters of the NHRA.
Yeah, and what his family has done with the racetrack is just amazing. The fact that they came in and spent all the money to save it in the first place was a godsend for Northeast racing fans. And then the investment and the commitment that they've made since then is above and beyond. I don't think there is a single person that would walk in there today and go, wow, I had no idea that they were going to do this much in the way of improvements. And, and it's not just, hey, we're doing paving this and that. One of the first things, and Kenny and I spoke about this at length, one of the first things he said when he bought the place is the bathrooms are awful. We need better bathrooms. Our fans are going to want, and that's one of the first things that they did was go in and upgrade and update that kind of stuff. And, I think, a lot of it is kind of the, the Bandamere Bader mentality is, the people that buy tickets are our customers. They need to be taken care of. We need to make sure they feel special so that they'll want to come back and maybe come back for an event other than the one that brought them out in the first place. Whether, you come to a swap meet and then decide, oh, there's a concert next month, maybe I'll come check that out. Or whether you come to a car show and then, oh, wait, there's a drag race this weekend, maybe I'll come check that out. And making your fans comfortable and letting them know that you care about them by investing back to make it a better experience for them is a big deal. And, I think that, that's one thing that they really, really are getting, and they're on top of out there at the Grove.
Their suites are beautiful. Last year we had a little spot of rain towards the end. I got to go hang out in the suites and just kind of, check out the viewpoint. They've got everything you need. And some even extra things. One of the best top end viewing locations just along the fence, watching the cars rip on by. Amazing stuff. We will be doing a WFO meetup out there on after Q4 on Saturday. We got so many WFOers reaching out. They happen to be going to the race. So we're going to do a meetup, be on social media to know exactly where, but it'll be after Q4 and we'll go down there. And Heiner, yeah, you'll get a reminder to be down there. Real quick, let's do a Top Fuel preview. Doug is the leader, 15 ahead of Justin. Justin doing so well in the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. You see where those bonus points work. Langdon third, 28 back. Torrence 41 back. Antron 47 back. Clay 63 back. Tony Stewart running the best of his career in drag racing, 77 back. Schumacher 83 back, 93 back. Brittany, Billy 109 back. Then Josh Hart 117 and Sean Reed 129. It would take a bit of a miracle to win the championship, but those guys can race into the middle, into the top half. Who knows? As high as they can perform. But when you think about handicapping Play NHRA, what do you think about Top Fuel?
I think that Top Fuel is more wide open than Funny Car. And, same thing as far as, what I said about Funny Car with Nitro racers sometimes have a tendency to be hiding something, put it on the back shelf at the shop until it's countdown time when it's time to put it in the truck and get after it. But I think that two cars that I don't know how many people have them on the radar, but I'm watching pretty closely are Brittany and Tony Schumacher. I spoke to Tony at press conference in Indy pretty extensively, and he told me there they had found something that he believes has been plaguing him for 2 years. And, the typical, like, hit yourself in the forehead moment, like, how could we have overlooked this? And his performance at Indy was better. And so I think that, give Mike Neff a couple of runs. Once you end up going down a rabbit hole, right? When, just whatever it is, right? If your shoe's not tied right, then you end up, well, maybe, if we try, a different pair of socks, or maybe, we try, starting on the left foot instead of the right, or maybe we try, and you do all this stuff crutching for it. Then when you realize the only problem was my shoe wasn't tied right, you can't necessarily snap your fingers and go back. You have to kind of dig your way out of the rabbit hole, so to speak. And I do believe that after they get a few runs under the belt, that car is going to be a stronger performer than it was earlier in the season. So I think that's one to watch. And I think David Grubnick's got a chip on his shoulder. I think the fact that, they struggled a bit early in the year and kind of lost their way a little bit, but they've got the car running better now. They went to Indy on a mission. We must do this in order to get in the countdown and even have a shot at it. And they did. It showed in qualifying. We know what that car's capable of on cool tracks and when the conditions are good. So I think that those two, even coming from further down in the field, bear watching a little bit closer than, maybe your average 7, 8, 9 cars when you get into the countdown. But, Alan Johnson is Alan Johnson. The fact that they stubbed their toe at Indy, he hasn't forgot how to win races. They tested at Indy, made 2 runs and went, okay, we're fine. They're coming in. Sean Langdon, same thing. They stayed and ran after Indy and made a couple of runs and feel like, okay, whatever that was is gone. Now let's go race. Justin Ashley, is this the year? Is this the year? Is this the year? Again and again and again. Ask me again, as I said, after Charlotte. Let's get 2 races under our belts. But I think that I really believe that Brittany and Tony Schumacher both bear close watching, because I think both of those teams are capable of running at a higher level than we've seen them here in the last couple of months.
Going to be very exciting. All classes loaded this weekend at Maple Grove Raceway, the Pep Boys NHRA Nationals. All right, there's been some comments in the comment section, one that keeps coming up regarding the factory stock, factory X controversy that happened at the U.S. Nationals. And we're never ducking anything, guys. We might not get to it, or I might forget about it. That happens all the time, but we're not ducking anything. What's going on with this? Because honestly, I saw the penalties on an NHRA racer. I know a little, but not a lot. What can you illuminate us with?
Well, I don't have any inside information, but as I understand it, the engines that were coming out of the Stanfield shop were found with an unapproved part. The fines were levied, the penalties were levied, and Greg is appealing because he believes that to the letter of the rules, his stuff was legal. And so I'm going to wait until that plays out before I really can form an opinion. I know, there are a lot of times when there is some gray area or some ambiguous language in the course of the rules where a racer, being a racer, is going to attempt to take advantage of that. And there have been numerous times when somebody go, well, you're doing this with your carburetor. It's like, well, the rule says, well, but what we really meant, and then that they will change the rule and they will move forward. So in this particular case, Greg Stanfield obviously feels like he was within the rule and he is appealing. NHRA felt like he stepped over the line. So that's why this whole thing started. But I am going to wait to have any real strong opinion until I see what the ultimate outcome is after the appeal. And I think it's as simple as that. I think that, I don't have all the information in order to absolutely say one way or another that this is a black and white issue. So
got it.
We'll wait and see what comes of the appeal and then move forward from there.
Well, and what I will say is I just, the way social media works and the reactions and the reactions to the actions and the way things just go crazy, exaggerated responses, people, really, really saying just horrific things about each other, real terrible. It's racers going after an advantage, maybe a gray area, a perceived loophole in the rules, something like that. And I'm being vague on purpose because we're going to wait, just like Alan said. But, in the past, you'd never know any of that. And now it's all written out for you to read, hours and hours of people commenting about things. And it's really interesting and sometimes a little bit sad. Another social media post that I would love for, if you want to weigh in, Paul Lee, not on the entry list. Paul was very vocal about something that I think is worthy of discussion, right? Forget the fact that it's Paul, but he missed the top 10. So he's not able to run for the championship, but cars that were behind him that didn't run as well as him are now going to finish in front of him in the points. And no matter if he won the final 6 races, he cannot improve his points position. And so he has said, what's the point of that? We're going to keep our powder dry. We're going to save our parts. We're going to save our pieces. We're going to get ready for 2025 because there's, we'll run Vegas and Pomona. I understand, maybe Dallas, but they're not going to run the full countdown is the point, because he can't improve. And that is an interesting thing to think about.
Well, I certainly see Paul's position, but I also know, at the beginning of the year, right? And it's been for a couple of years now, right? It isn't like, September 1st, somebody went, okay, here's the deal. This is what you need to do to be a part of the countdown, to be in the playoffs, to be eligible for the championship. And Paul didn't do it. He had a strong showing at Indy. He had a possibility at Indy, had a couple more rounds that he could have fought his way in, kind of like what Brittany did. And, I understand his disappointment and his decision, but if you don't qualify for the playoffs, you don't qualify for the playoffs or the countdown to the championship in this case. So again, I completely understand his decision. And I hope that will maybe incentivize him next year to come out and run all the races and to make a serious championship charge, because it's pretty obvious to anybody who's paying attention that his car, from a performance standpoint, is as good or better than it's ever been. So it's the thing that I hate is that we're not going to have that car out there mixing it up, that the fans are going to have one less really good quality car out there to be a part of the field. And, I think there's 2 ways that you can look at it if you're Paul. You can either say, okay, I'm mad. Now I'm going to go out and just try to ruin everybody's day and show them. Or you can do what he did, which is go, you know what? If I'm not going to be able to improve my position, then maybe we just regroup and come back next year.
Remember at the start of the show when I called you a not pro-business communist? Remember that?
Yeah. So vividly,
okay. Well, so like this is what it's about, though. This is what it's about. People and Paul. Like, I don't think Paul doesn't want the participation rule. He doesn't think it's right, and a lot of people want to see, if you don't finish in the top 10, then you're not in. And they think that it's a giveaway, and they think it's, I'm going to use, charged words on purpose, right? To be, it's welfare. It's a giveaway. It's a freebie. It's a participation trophy. It's weakening the breed. It's allowing people who don't deserve to be there to be in it. And I'm not saying this. This is what people are saying all over the place, on Twitter, on Facebook. It could be a very vocal 5%, but they won't let it go. They won't let it go. They won't say, well, like Cruz Pendragon, Snap-on, Mr. Pinchuk, this guy is investing so much in the sport. These folks want that team to feel the burn and the agony of being excluded. That's what it is. They want that team and others, and Jim Dunn and Buddy Hall and Dave Richards, you did not qualify. Now, my point is, why 10? Why not 8? Why not 6? Why not 7? Why 10? Because it's a round number. We could go round and round and round. But what about those people? And why are we doing this again? Because they don't understand. Drag Racing Mayhem is one of them. He's out there on Twitter very vocally saying that this is a terrible rule. A lot of people think it's a terrible rule. It's welfare. It's a giveaway. It's a freebie. It's weakening of the breed. Why are we doing this?
Well, here's my take on that. And one of the things when, they first talked about, doing the countdown and the cutoff and the way it was going is, okay, Cruz Pendragon has not had a stellar year. All right. But why should he be locked out of a potential top 10 finish? The car has been running better. The car has been trending in the right direction. If he goes out these last 6 races and runs better, knocks down some rounds, and earns himself a spot in the top 10, why should he be locked out of that when he was out here fighting the good fight all year long, as well as the others? So I can certainly see that side of the coin. And from a Paul Lee standpoint, I think that's especially painful because if memory serves, he was either 11 or 12 in the point standings. But now he's got no chance of being in the top 10. Could you win the championship from there? I mean, mathematically, yes. But I think, the chance to be in the top 10 still means something, whether it's, a few bonus bucks because, you do get bonus money for finishing in the top 10, or just to be able to tell your sponsors, you know what, we might not have had the greatest start to the season, but we came back at the end and we still posted a top 10 finish. So, I think that's, not any different than Clay Millican qualifying 13th and winning the U.S. Nationals. Just because you weren't stellar in this part of it should not exclude you from being able to make a positive move later. That's kind of my feeling.
No, I understand. And I honestly, this is one that if you're going to be a good debater, you're supposed to be able to debate both sides of a point. And I see both sides of this point. They both make sense. Why do you want to alienate sponsors who are investing big time in the sport just to have one or two get excluded? It's not like we've got 24, great cars. We've got just about, 12 to 13. I get it. I get both sides. Like Dan doesn't like the playoffs. He wants to go in the other direction. He wants the championship potentially to be over at the U.S. Nationals like it has been in the past. Everyone's got an opinion, but what I saw last year with Doug Coletta and Leah running for the championship, final round of the final race, that was brought on by the playoffs. The Steve Torrence perfect countdown, 6 for 6, never happen again. That was brought on by the playoffs. Steve hates it. Still, he hates it, but that is what has given him his unequalable resume note, right? So everyone's got an opinion, but I just would love to get to the right thing. Like what's right for our sport? What's right for everybody? And these folks who don't like this participation trophy thing, they're very vocal and they won't yield. They won't say like, hey, all right, we get it. This is how it is for a reason. They are very, very vocal.
I understand that, but you're never going to make everybody happy, no matter what. If you gave away free beer and cheeseburgers, you're not going to make everybody happy. And so, NHRA, the rules makers have to sit down with the stakeholders, whether it's whether it's the title rights, the sponsors, what makes the most sense? What can we do? What's going to be in the best interest of the majority? If you held a vote and the vote was 98-2, well, then I think you'd say, you know what, we're doing the right thing here. But there's two people that are going to hate it. So you're never going to get everybody to agree. And I can certainly see both sides of it. I was there when they crowned John Forrest champion at Indy. And, people then said, well, there's no reason for us to go race the last 6 races because the championship's already decided. Well, guess what? Everybody went and raced the last 6 races, even though the championship was already decided. Racers are going to race. So whatever plan you put in place, I think the racers are going to go, okay, if that's what we got to do, then that's what we got to do. And, if it works against you and you want to change your decision as far as, what your program is going to be going forward, then I get that, as a race team, which is in essence an independent contractor, if you wanted to decide, I'm not going to go to those other races or I'm not going to do this, then you can certainly decide to do that. But, and I could, again, I could argue both sides of it. I always felt like having a chance to finish in the top 10 was a big deal to some teams, right? I mean, I don't think Steve Torrence, if Steve Torrence doesn't win the championship, I honestly don't think he cares if he's 2nd or 18th. He's there to win the championship. But there are teams and racers out there that accomplishing a top 10 finish is a goal that they have yet to achieve, and they should be allowed to try to achieve that goal.
I agree. Well, so this guy, Dan, says, take a poll of the pro racers, yes or no playoffs. Like the idea that hasn't already happened, Dan. Like, Dan, they are all involved. They're doing this. I think they've already done it. And this is what's coming on. I don't believe that the NHRA is pushing upon these race teams something that they are not buying into, even what they may post on social media when they get into the meeting and they have the meeting. And I think that the majority opinion, maybe even slightly reluctantly, is pro countdown. Something is not being forced upon the racers that they all hate. I don't think so. And it has definitely given us something very interesting to talk about. I think, Dan, sorry, I think you have a minority opinion there, bro. It's just my opinion. Alan, great job as usual. You're the best. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Super excited for this playoff run.
I am too. And I'm really looking forward to getting to Maple Grove. So get my dryer quit a little while ago. So that means I can go throw the stuff in the suitcase and I'll be ready to go for my dark 30 tomorrow morning. All
right. House of Chaos. We'll see you there.
See ya.
There he goes. The voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, joins us each week on WFO Radio. Listen, we do this every single year. And it's a couple of people and they're voicing their opinions. And I value your opinion. I love it. I love hearing it. But at what point Do we just stop doing the same thing over and over and sharing your opinion? Like Terry runs a pro stock. He wants to go back to year-long points. And what I say each year is the second that the championship is decided, a large number of people who are not vocal right now will say this sucks. And then it'll be your fault. Oh, yeah. Well. There's no responsibility for people who are not in control to have a bad idea. You can have a bad idea when you're on the sidelines. You put up a bad idea. The countdown has brought unprecedented energy and entertainment to the final 6 races of the season. It's indisputable. You might want to take, all you're doing is asking to take that energy away. You're taking the playoffs away. You're taking the reset away. I don't know what the points would be. Now, let's go with the figurative 100 people that Reinhart's talking about. Maybe I'm talking to 20 that don't like it, or maybe it's 34 that don't like it, or, maybe the pro countdown people don't really care that much. This is what the sport and the powers that be, including pro, including the NHRA and everybody that gets together that work and chart out the future of the sport, decided years ago, and they talk about it every year, that this is the best way to promote the sport of drag racing and sell it to a TV broadcast partner, that we've got this critical time of the year when we're battling up against the NFL. It's not just another race, like race 5 to go. Is that, it's just another race. Championships may be decided, maybe not decided. You're in a different era now. You need to have things. People are NASCAR, we don't need to be like them. Are you out there selling the sport? Do you know? Do you really know? Or are you just a casual observer throwing an opinion against the wall to see how it sticks? I think the people that really know have gamed it all out and come to the conclusion that this is the best way forward. And that's just the way it is. And at what point are we going to get past this thing? Because it's kind of petty. I'm not saying your opinion is bad. I'm just saying it's kind of a petty thing. You could be using your energy right now to think about, is Doug Coletta going to go back to back? What are they going to do to bounce back from DNQ at the U.S. Nationals? Alan Johnson, a lot of people's preseason pick and the points leader. What if they have another bad race? What will happen? Right? Tony Stewart is emerging right before our eyes as a top fuel racer. He's going rounds. He's having a good car. Things are finally coming around. This is how long it takes, obviously. Right? We could be talking about that, the guy's career. Now we're going to stay mired in this redundant conversation that happens. It's just the same tired thing over and over again. And I could have ignored your comments. I could have ignored the social traffic. I could have just ignored it. Many people recommend that I do that. Just ignore. But I don't like to ignore, because I want you to know that I'm not ignoring. I know you're out there. I know this is what you think. I'm trying to win you over. I'm trying to get you to think about it in a different way. I'm trying to get you to realize that it's actually a good idea to have the playoffs. And the playoffs have given us tremendous results. You don't have the great battles. Like, not every class has a great battle every year. Just doesn't always happen that way. But we have had some really great battles, and those are due to the countdown. You don't know what would have happened without the countdown. We could have had 5-6 years of stinkers. That one team just rolled over everybody, and it was boring, and you'd have been complaining. The same you would have been complaining about something different, because people do like to complain. They do. They like to complain. So just a thought. Let's see what Jesse has to say. Okay, I don't know what he's about to say. It's a cold read. Again, if based on the 100 people that Reinhart talks about, is it 50-50? Is it 60-40? Is it 70-30? Is it 90-10? Even if it's 90-10, the 10 people's opinion is valuable to me. I want to know it. I'm not discounting it. I'm not discrediting it. I don't think it's crap. I'm not ignoring it. But I know where I stand, and I see both sides. Let's see what Jesse, this guy has run for championships, right? Jesse Freeman. Been on both sides with the countdown, lost by 8 and won by 3. It's a double-edged sword, but that's what we agree to when we start the year. It definitely keeps the pressure up to perform at your best. There's a guy who's been involved He's now on Edith's car. Taking the final percentage of the season and making it more intense. I don't understand why that's bad. I don't get it. The guy who's, ninth and trying to get sixth in a long format season, he is not getting first. He's not really going very well. Like, the max we could possibly gain is X, and now we're going to finish fifth instead of eighth. Who cares? I guess that's great for them, but I don't think it's captivating for a mainstream audience. I just don't. I spent a lot of time in sports, football, baseball, basketball. There's a lot of money. You might not like them. You might not think it's a great thing to watch a basketball game, but they have sure figured out how to sell their product to television and make a whole lot of money and bring in sponsorship. You should probably like that. We want our sport to do that. I think there's a trail that has been blazed. Let's do it. All right. Put your comments in the comment section. If you want to attack me, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll be back with, some final thoughts. I do want to mention PowerTube TV. You can get the show on PowerTube TV. I want to mention our great friends at RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. Listen, maybe it's because I'm hyper-caffeinated today. Maybe I've had a whole lot of Rodax coffee and I'm just like attacking the social media folks. I don't know. Maybe. That's why you have a podcast, right? You want to attack people. But 817-924-6821. Call Marvin. Hot sauces, spice rubs. He's going to be at the Stampede of Speed. Maybe you racers want some coffee. You want to get 5-10 pounds of great Rodax coffee. You can order in advance and pick it up at the Stampede of Speed. 817-924-6821. Best coffee you're ever going to get. Check them out. Also, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure, frankhawley.com. You drive a dragster. You drive a dragster. Feel the pressure, feel the burn, feel the intensity of going down the racetrack, staging up against your friends in a race. They can make it all possible. I think it makes the best holiday gift you're going to get, right? frankhawley.com. When they pick up the phone, you tell them WFO Radio sent you and work it out. But they travel around the country. It is going to be great. It's going to be great, and I'm super excited. Folks at HusseyPerformance.net, here's the deal. Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. David Allen. Here's his number, 724-318-8292. Not just copperhead gaskets anymore. Now, they still specialize in copperhead gaskets and source their copper from the best places and use the best materials. It's all made in the USA. But now they have expanded to oil pan gaskets, valve cover gaskets, header gaskets. They're doing a whole lot more at HusseyPerformance.net. So go to the website, check them out, and tell them you heard about it on WFO Radio. Plus, they've got contingency programs for top alcohol dragster, funny car, top dragster, and top sportsman in the NHRA for national events. And they also do top sportsman and top dragster PDRA. So HusseyPerformance.net. Thanks to those guys for coming back on board. Of course, the folks at Foggett, Gary Stinnett out there bracket racing right now at the Real Million, which is super cool. Our Patreons, Derek mentioned earlier. The Patreons. I just sent out a stack of t-shirts yesterday. You sign up for a year, you get a free t-shirt in addition to stickers and a patch and WFO screen wipes and as much WFO swag as I can fit into a mailer that cost me about $6. Sign up for a year and you get to watch the Ignition Show. You get to participate with the Ignition Show. You get to hear it from Michael Heiner, and his true opinions about what's going on out there and money motivation, et cetera, and so on. Patreon.com/WFO radio. Yeah, we can become a member, a VIP member, right? Plus our great friends at Bernie's Speed Shop and CWT, Industries.com, FTI Performance Transmissions and Torque Converters. And this is why. Seeing Paul's post, I respect this man greatly. I have worked with Paul very closely. He is a friend, and I value his opinion. So what I would say is maybe we should get rid of the participation trophy. Not the playoffs, though. Maybe we should explore getting rid of the top 10, deal. And maybe it is a good thing if top tier teams that are sponsored by huge international corporations feel the burn of not making it, like every NFL team might experience, like every baseball team might experience. Speaking of the trail to success that has been beaten by mainstream sports, Every team doesn't get to make the playoffs unless you're in the NHL or the NBA, and then pretty much most do. But it's worthy conversation, right? Maybe it shouldn't be a top 10. Maybe it should be a top 6. Why top 10? Maybe top 6 qualify for the playoffs. Top 10 is open to everybody else. And now you're competing for the top 10. Are you really coming from 10th to win the championship? Do you really deserve it? What I'm saying is this construct that we have about 10. Why 10? Why not 8? Well, we want to open it up to as many people. And every thought you're thinking right now, it has been probably thought before. But I value Paul's opinion. And they did win the Pep Boys All-Star Call-Out. And they got $80,000. So it's not like a terrible deal. Great friends, Total Seal, Jesse, Converters, and everybody who has been on board with WFO Radio, including Torque Calibration Services of Australia, Matt Clark. We've got the gear is up. Project Pontiac, we're working on it, guys. Pretty soon I'll be out there letting go of a button, feeding my entry fee to other people. It will be great. It will be great. All right, let's see what you got to say. Final comments. Got the big press conference coming up here. In the end, these conversations are all good sports talk conversations, but they gobble up the time that, like Erica Enders versus Jed Coughlin versus Dallas Glenn versus Aaron Stanfield versus Greg Anderson for the championship. Like, to me, we could spend hours on that. It's going to be amazing. All right, let's pick it up right here. Troy. Countdown is way better than deciding championship at Indy and having 5 teams shut it down for the year. Just need to tweak the system a little. Well, exactly. It has been a minute since they tweaked the system. Maybe there are some tweaks. It's about earning that top 10 spot. No offense to Dave Richards, but how many round wins does he have all year? A valid point. They're a new team, a fresh team. They're coming out. They are doing their first full season, right? Like, I think just completing a year is a great victory for Dave Richards. Whether you're top 10 or 12th, what does that really mean? Dave Richards, they've had a successful season, their first full season ever. Amazing. But again, top 10, like, okay. Top 10 is obvious car guarantee. Every series has done it that way. Before chases, NASCAR had a winners club, World of Outlaws. Dirty doesn't. See, I think that if we were going to explore a different tweak, it would be you have to win a race to be playoff eligible. I kind of like that. You have to win a race to be playoff eligible. Because if you haven't won a race, what have you done? And then that opens up another debate. Everybody will say that's wrong too. Let's see. The only reason I don't like it is the average fan probably doesn't know it exists. If more people knew it would exist, it would be more vocal. Are we talking about the countdown? Yeah, maybe, which is why I refer to it as the NHRA playoff system known as the countdown. I hear people talk about the countdown all the time. And if you get a room full of people that are non-drag racing fans and you say the countdown, they just don't know what you're talking about, man. They just don't know. You got to speak in a language that people understand. And in the drag racing universe, we are constantly speaking a language that people outside of our language don't understand. And I don't know how often you folks have been around people that actually don't speak English. I have. But here's the thing. When they're talking, you don't know what they're saying. And so it's really hard to get into whatever it is that they're into. And we're really doing that in the world of drag racing. With everything we do, we're speaking a different language than the average citizen. And maybe they think we're cool and they like us and they want to be with us. But if they don't understand what we're talking about, it's kind of hard to expect that they're going to want to be into it. Let's go back to year-long points. Okay, that's where I've picked up now where we're going off. If you poll the pro racers, the ones who run 3 races a year will all say no. Well, the amount of racers who run 3 races a year, probably more than the guys who all run all year long. Isn't that a fair electorate? Well, you can go to the point standings real easy. Like, let's just go right to the point standings. It's not that challenging. You've got standings. I don't want to spend too much time because we had the big press conference, but all right, Jasmine Salinas. See, that's tough, man. Jasmine Salinas doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs. She ran a great run all year long. She went some rounds. Her dad got sick. That's the reason, right? Did she deserve some sort of exemption? Would that have been a participation trophy? Like, these are tough conversations. Dan Mercier, part-time. Doug Foley, part-time. TJ Zizzo, part-time. Ida, part-time. Tripp has run like 2 races. Terry Totten, Cody Crone, Krista, Ron August, Cam Foray, Mike Salinas, the 1 race. Travis, Kyle Wurtzel, Lex June, Scott Farley, Smacks, Ron Smith, and Luigi Novelli. So what, as I understand it, this gentleman is saying is that those are the people who should be deciding the future of the sport, not the people who show up to every race. Did I get that wrong, Kimmy? I disagree. I think the people that want to show up to every race and are trying to support your series all over the place, they're the ones that should control the goal of the direction of the season, is what I think. Thanks, Joe Allen. Clay was awesome. Thank you for time and insight. Listen, man, kicking it about drag racing, okay? I know what's going on out there. Not everybody agrees. Not everybody disagrees. A lot of people disagree just to disagree, just for the fun of it. I can sometimes be one of those people, so I know them well. The rest of you just have to get over it. I like that. That's funny. Just get over it, right? Let's see. Dan, are you talking to me? Wishing Clay would have chosen Arby's biodiesel for the Tri-5 build. Yeah. Maybe they will the next time. It's not Clay's final ride. I really like the countdown, and anyone who's against it really doesn't understand modern society. That's how I say it. Yes, exactly. They're debating on their own. Here we go. Look at this. 2024 champs, Torrence, Prock, Gaige, Anderson. I like the Steve Torrence pick, honestly. I think Steve Torrence is consistently very good, and they could become great at any moment. So if Steve Torrence were to win 3 out of 6 and win a championship, win number 5, the drive for 5 for Steve Torrence, that would be amazing. And it could very easily happen. It could very easily happen. Right? Isn't the countdown what they do before a rocket launches? When you listen to drag racing people talk, in your mind, just think every time a word comes up that someone who's not a drag racer will not have any clue what the hell you're talking about. It happens a lot. AJ is all fired up about going drag racing at the House of Chaos. Feel like if enough teams drop out, then you only have a 10-car field, reset the points all the way down, and you can work your way back from the top 10. We don't want teams to drop out. That's the thing, is we got more teams coming. That you got more cars coming, especially in Top Fuel. It's going to be great. Any video of the teardowns of cars in Indy? No. We don't video teardowns. You can't make everyone happy no matter what. That's true. And that's the end. Do we have ladders or brackets? Right. Drag Race Bracket Bonanza this weekend. And we could do it all day. That's the thing. You could just go in circles all day long. And then when you convince one person, they will hang up and say, thank you very much. And a new person will pop up and they will have the same debate. Guys, I appreciate all of you. Hopefully, if we disagree on a topic, it doesn't mean anything other than that. And yes, I see things a certain way, and I think the sport could be better if we do certain things, and I try to earn people by making points. And my mind is always open. My mind is always open to other points, and that's why what Paul Lee posted, like, it hit hard. Guy's going to be 14th no matter what he does. But I will say this, and it's worth stopping the music. I don't expect you're all going to go listen to the Ignition show. I fully expect Paul Lee to be in the championship running next year. The experience of being in a playoff is very valuable. The experience of running the playoff is very valuable. Being on those tracks at the times, in the air, in the light, in a pressure-packed situation. And there's that saying in sports, you lose one before you can win one. Because you need to know what it's like to go through it. Is that true? I don't know. But what a valuable experience it is to go through these final 6 races, even if you're not in the top 10. Appreciate Alan Reinhart, Clay Millican, Appreciate everybody. We're going to do a WFO meetup at Maple Grove. If you're going to be there, watch the social media. WFO Joe, WFO Radio. If you don't agree with me, I want to hear it. Put it in the comment section on YouTube, the YouTube comment section. Like, give us your thought. I don't want to do no playoff, though. We did that a long time ago. In 2020, Steve Torrence, we had the 2020, and it was a straight run to the end of the season. And we experienced it. I don't know. It was a pandemic year. I found it to be less exciting. Shout out to Kevin Skinner. Check out this guy. Won the U.S. Nationals wearing his WFO Radio t-shirt. He was on the show last week. He failed to tell me about this. I saw this shirt. That means Bo won it wearing the WFO Radio t-shirt in 23. And the Black Hammer, Kevin Skinner, wins it wearing a WFO Radio t-shirt in 24. Hot Rod Randy had these shirts on sale for $10 at the U.S. Nationals. That's pretty amazing. Sue Morris won Super Street in Rockingham. Dave Morris won Super Gas at Rockingham. A lot of people are starting to say that the WFO shirts and stickers are good luck when it comes to winning races. I can't certify that. It's nice to think about. See you in Maple Grove, guys. Thank you, Kid Chaos. Thank you, Gaige. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Clay. WFO.